So this is our level 1, pillar 8 meditation session. I'm Olivia Rosewood, as you know, and Dr. Mao is here with us as well. This is a very exciting pillar to share with you, the pillar of meridian tracing. So many of us in this group already have a background in traditional Chinese medicine, whether you are a teacher, professor of traditional Chinese medicine, or a practitioner. But for those of you who are new to traditional Chinese medicine and the meridians, these meridians are like rivers of energy, kind of like veins. So we have veins that carry our blood. And in traditional Chinese medicine, we also have maps which depict the flow of energy. And so what is this energy? There's actually a beautiful, fascinating practice in the Zen tradition where they will, Zen monks will go and observe the mortuary. And the purpose of this observation is to notice the difference between a living human being and a non-living human being. And the difference is really just energy. The contents of our body remain the same, but the flow, the heart beating, the chi can leave the body. So this is an important concept to understand. I guess that's a kind of a morbid example, but you know, it's wonderful to be alive. Chi is, to me, very real. It's a flowing substance. It is the life of our life. It will be helpful in this area of meditation for you also to understand what Arthur and I were just chatting about, which are weather systems. How does energy move and change in our environment? In some of these practices, you'll notice that we humans are a bit of a microcosm for the macro. And this is why gardening and the care of Mother Earth are a big part of the Taoist tradition. Understanding yourself means also understanding the bigger picture. So as we protect and care for Mother Earth, we are also protected and cared for by Mother Earth. But we have a similar kind of ecosystem that makes us us. And for this practice, it will be helpful if you understand also the basics of generating a current. So this is a very simple concept that most of us interact with daily when we drive a vehicle, when we turn on the lights, or in my case, I live in the mountains when there is no electricity and I need to flip on a generator. So with this practice that Dr. Mao will guide us through, what we're doing is really amazing alchemy. We are generating chi. So you get to have more life in your life. And this is a good thing in my experience. So as you practice, you'll find that yes, it is something of a visualization. But the more you practice, in my experience, you'll find that you can also feel your chi, this life force, increasing and flowing. So this is my experience of the practice. Now, this is one of the most foundational practices in the Taoist tradition, and it also falls into the category of Qigong. And there have been actually hundreds of scientific studies documenting the benefits of this practice. So I can share with you some pertinent case studies that are amazing. But for now, I'd like to hand it over to you, Dr. Mao, to guide us in practice. We're so grateful to have you here guiding us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivia, and thank you everyone for your dedication and commitment to your meditation practice. We've come to the last level, last pillar, and the last month in our training program. So as Olivia pointed out, that this is a very basic, fundamental practice within the Taoist tradition. It is a Qigong, but it's really a meditation also, just because the movements are all within. And so there's, virtually no physical movement. So oftentimes how we delineate the difference between Qigong and meditation or form-based practices like Tai Chi or Shing Ni or Bakwa, Cosmic Tour, and those have very specific choreographies. Qigong has more subtle physical movements, and certainly breathing and posture and internal movement. Whereas meditation is pretty much stillness on the outside, but movement on the inside, of course. But movement on the inside doesn't mean that, again, it's not type of Qigong. So it crosses over to a type of Qigong practice. For all intents and purposes, MicroCosmic and the MacroCosmic orbits and the other level 3 practice, the super cosmic practice of fire and water, are a type of intense internal cultivation. And so therefore they do fall into meditation category. That's why we are presenting them as part of the ITMI curriculum. It will help you to prepare for your practices by understanding the channels and the pathways of the channels. And we're mostly concerned with what we call the extraordinary channel. So in the human body, we have the 12 regular meridians, channels, that corresponds to the 12 organ systems. So the 12 organ systems are paired organs, like lung, large intestine would be the metal element. And that's for the immune system. Respiratory includes the skin, lungs, etc. And then you have other systems, and how they communicate with the other organs is through this information highway, which is basically transmitting by qi. So these channels are filled with qi, and qi is informational. And this is really fascinating because the ancient Chinese Taoist masters figured this out, that you can actually communicate with any part of your body, any of your organs, and so forth, through, first and foremost, an intention, through your spirit, and then generating the thought and the intention, and then sending that message, that intention, through the channels to the destination that you intended. So there is this complex network of communication within our body. And this is thousands of years ago. And finally, modern science is able to now document that, in fact, within the human body, the organs, the different systems, such as nervous system and the hormonal system, which the endocrine, the immune system, other systems, they all communicate. And they all have to be in constant communication. And that, of course, the neurons and the nerve cells are implanted everywhere in the body. They are not just in the brain. Most people have this false concept that, you know, our mind is in the brain, but in reality, our mind is really everywhere in our body because there's neurons everywhere in your human body. We have huge number of neurons in our heart, for example, 40,000 neuron cells. We have over 1 million neurons in the stomach, digestive tract. We have neurons everywhere. So, you know, what this really means is that the information getting from one place to another has to be transmitted through something. And the interesting part is that it's not always only by nerve fibers. We think that, yes, the human body is innervated with a lot of nerve fibers, and they kind of, you know, roughly look like an electrical grid, you know, for a machine, if you will. And that, you know, there's nodes along the way, and that these little nodes is what Chinese medicine have represented as acupuncture points, and that these grids, the grid lines of the communications, whether it's through, you know, copper wires or, you know, fiber optic and whatever it might be, the vessel in which contains the energy signals are transmitted in. We simply call that meridians, channels. They contain information. It's informational. And that's how the body runs every single second. And without proper communication, something is bound to go awry. And that's when, you know, imbalance begins small. Then as the the miscommunication occurs or lack of communication, the disorder becomes bigger and bigger and bigger until it becomes a disease, a actual breakdown in the function. And so this is one of the reasons why meditation and doing exactly what we do during a meditation is a way to reset, so that whatever miscommunication, misfiring, blockage of signal and messaging and so forth can be reset. It's like pushing that reset button. And there are concrete studies now that show, you know, meditation can in fact improve the functionality of every system, including immune killer cells. Meditators versus non-meditators, meditators have better immune response to a vaccine. So, you know, many of you maybe have, you know, obtained your COVID vaccine, and maybe you had a booster vaccine. Well, studies have come in now that show meditators, all right, versus non-meditators, meditators have many times more antibody response to a vaccine than a non-meditator. Interesting. Why? Well, because you constantly reset your system so that it's performing optimally. And that's the beauty of why we do what we do. And then you dive deep into the science of these specific channels that you're trying to concentrate and focus and produce energy in. Now you're starting to getting into anti-aging. You're not only optimizing function, now we are actually lengthening telomeres, which are these little DNA tails on each cell. And the aging process is when that tail, after these cells duplicate itself many, many times, the tail gets shorter. And that is a determinant factor, this telomeres, the tail, determines the mortality, meaning the lifespan of your cell, and versus as well as the quality, you know, the quality of the cell. And so these practices have been shown to increase the repair mechanism from telomerase, which is an enzyme, as well as lengthening those tails. How fascinating, you know? That in fact, nature has endowed us with all kinds of ways to regenerate. You just have to know how. Well, we're very blessed that we didn't have to spend our lifetime trying to discover what it is, but rather it has been discovered for us, and that this knowledge and wisdom has been passed down so that we can benefit, receive the benefit, be the beneficiary. So level 1 deals with microcosmic orbits. So these are the 2 out of the 8 extraordinary meridians, which, by the way, I started the conversation by mentioning the regular meridians that corresponds to the organ systems. But the 8 extra channels, meridians, are reservoirs, and they are reservoirs to help store up energy. So you can literally generate energy and put it away in a bank for your rainy day. And you keep generating energy until the reservoirs are full. And that fullness is important because life, is stressful, and sometimes you need extra energy. So what do? Well, instead of taxing your organs or other glands or your body and causing rapid aging, you basically tap the reservoirs, and that's what they're for. And these reservoir energies are important because they establish, they form the foundation for us to be able to use this energy to refine ourselves spiritually. So they're energy, yes, but energy is used to strengthen the spirit. And that's why this energy is so important, to gather, generate, refine, and support, so that the higher level of consciousness can arise because of this. So the 2 channels we're talking about in the microcosmic orbit are the conception vessel, which runs in the front. Both of these are midline channels. The other one's called the governing channel or dew channel, that runs up the spine. And they form an orbit because they are, in fact, a continuous loop. And energy starts out in the lower dantian, in the abdomen, goes to the perineum, and it's pumped up step by step. Now we have vertebrae. We have 5 sacrum, which is fused. We have 5 lumbar vertebrae, which are not fused. We have 12 thoracic vertebrae, and then we have 7 cervical vertebrae. So all these vertebrae that form a step, they're like climbing up. And sometimes people have referred to them as stairway to heaven, because it's literally you're climbing stairs, one step at a time, all the way to the top of the head, which of course represents the heavenly energy, where you connect with the North Star. And then once it reaches the top of the head by Hui, it starts the downward journey through the forehead, your nose, to the philtrum, and to end at the upper palate, right, your rooftop of your mouth. And then it stops there. That's the dew channel, or the governing channel. All right. And the Ren channel, the conception vessel, starts in the dantian as well, but actually it's in the perineum, really. And then it goes up the midline of your pelvic area, abdomen, crosses the belly button, up the chest, the sternum, all the way to your throat, up into the lower part of your chin, into the bottom, and ends at the bottom of your tongue. And that's the pathway of the conception channel. Normally speaking, if you are talking like I'm doing, I'm disconnected. My governing channel and my conception channel, because there's a gap when you're talking. This is one of the reasons why from day one, when we taught you, meditation, and the part of the posture of the meditation is curl your tongue. So when you curl your tongue, the bottom of the tongue where the conception vessel ends directly connects with the end of your governing channel, which ends at the upper palate. And then with that fusion right there, called bridging, once a bridge occurs, now there's a loop that continues. So then, as we talked about, the energy, starts to trickle and pump down, crossing the tongue into your consumption channel. Then it runs down your consumption channel to the perineum. And then the cycle starts all over again. And you can do this loop for as many times as you have time for. And at the speed by which, when you become proficient, you can run through literally the whole loop, right, in one breath, inhale, exhale. But you must learn how to crawl first, then you learn how to walk, and you have to learn how to walk before you can run. And so we have to go step by step. That's why our practice, for those people who have not done this practice before, we're gonna make it steady, methodical, step by step. So there's no rush to it. Okay. All right. Any questions before we jump into the actual practice, because we'll actually be doing practice?
Dr. Mao, I wonder if you might say a few words about the potential for generating saliva, which commonly happens during this practice, and what we might do about it or with it.
Yes. So naturally with this practice, as you're generating and pumping energy, you're going to start developing a wealth of salivation, which is a very good thing. I'd be a little worried if you end up with a dry mouth. It's an indication that the qi is flowing and that you are pumping it. And we call this Jing Jing Yu Ye, which means really golden and jade elixir, that's generated, this fluid in your mouth. It is so precious that the names of gold and jade is applied to this nectar that's generated. So at the end of the practice, we'll then get to slowly, harvest that and swallow our saliva. But it's normal for you to be seeing, experiencing the wetness in your mouth, which is, like I said, a very good sign.
Thank you, Dr. Mao. One more question before we begin. This comes up pretty often. So we've talked about flipping the tongue to really create that current, that connection. I've understood from some meditators that if this is too uncomfortable, it might be acceptable to simply press the tongue to the palate. And I wonder what you think about this, Dr. Mao.
What you mean, just not curling up the tongue and just merely touching, right? Yeah. It's not as effective. So even if you just curl a little, you don't have to curl, excessively, but even just a little helps. And it does help you generate more saliva too.
Thank you, Dr. Mao. Does everyone understand this tongue position okay? It really comes into play. Yes, Arthur, in this practice.
So when we put the tongue, because of the little experience with it, I usually find there's a little soft area in the palate right in the middle. And it's like, I find if I put the tongue there, it secretes the saliva and it just makes me feel much better. Is that the right connection? Should be right in the middle of the palate? Or because some say put it like behind the front teeth and others say put it right back. And some people say like put it in the middle. So which is the correct one for, making the correct connection?
Well, Arthur, if it feels good what you're
Yeah,
doing, keep doing
yeah.
it.
No worries, no worries.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you get caught up too much in the technicality of it. Yeah, I find
No,
it.
no, I mean, but I think, sometimes we overanalyze. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, you're feeling like, wow, my mouth is feeling great. I've got all this saliva that's generated. Well, hit the jackpot. Go for it.
no worries.
And don't have any doubts. I mean, the body responds very quickly if you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. Okay.
Thank you, Arthur. Thank you, Dr. Mao. Any other questions before we start?
All right. Well, I guess not. We should begin then. All right. So let's go ahead and get ourselves, sitting upright, the edge of the chair if you are sitting on the chair, or if you are sitting on the floor, make sure you're elevated by sitting on some kind of pillow or, stool, low stool or something like that. And just make sure that your spine is long so that everything can flow correctly. And keep the spine straight, therefore tugging your chin in and pulling up on top, and curl your tongue. And your hands, you can either keep them on top of your thighs or go ahead and envelop them and place them in your dantian, lower dantian. And let's go ahead and take a deep breath. Inhale. And exhale. Focus your attention in your lower dantian. Inhale, fill up your abdomen and your chest completely. And exhale, focus your attention in the middle dantian. And be sure to continue to exhale until you are empty, both in the chest and your abdomen. Inhale, bring your focus to the upper dantian. And exhale, open up the crystal palace and receive the light of the North Star as the light streams from the North Star, this bright white light filling up the entire cavity of the upper dantian. Inhale once again. And exhale, the light permeates the middle dantian in the chest cavity, completely filling up and spilling over down your arms to all your fingertips, overflowing with white light. Inhale. Exhale. Now the white light permeates throughout the entire lower abdomen, your lower dantian, down your legs to the tips of your toes, overflowing with a bright white light. As your body is now completely immersed within this bright white North Star light. And allow this moment to just be present. Feel the light. Sustain your focus. Breathe deeply. Allow your mind to relax. And now bring your attention to your lower dantian. Inhale. Propel the chi from the lower dantian down to the perineum, between your sphincter of your anus and your urinary sphincters. And exhale. You might lightly and gently tighten or contract the sphincter, the rectal urinary sphincter, as you inhale each time, just gently to propel the chi. And let's begin. Inhale. Move the chi from the perineum to the sacrum. And exhale. Now there's the 5 bones in the sacrum, but they're fused. So we will treat them as one staircase. Inhale. Propel the chi up the sacrum to just below the 5th lumbar vertebrae. Gently squeezing your rectum. And now exhale, relax the rectum. So only squeeze as you're inhaling. Inhale, gently squeeze, and move the chi up to the 4th lumbar vertebrae, and exhale. Inhale, gentle squeeze to propel the chi up to the 3rd lumbar vertebrae, and then exhale. Inhale, move the chi up to the 2nd lumbar vertebrae, and exhale. Inhale, propel the chi to the 1st lumbar vertebrae, and exhale. Inhale, move the chi up to join with the beginning of the thoracic vertebrae at the 12th thoracic vertebrae. And exhale. Inhale, propel the chi to the 11th thoracic vertebrae, and exhale. Inhale, move the chi up to the 10th thoracic vertebrae. And exhale. Inhale, propel the chi up to the 9th thoracic vertebrae. And exhale. Inhale, move chi up to the 10th, to the 8th thoracic vertebrae. And exhale. Inhale, propel the chi up to the 7th thoracic vertebrae as a context. It's roughly the level of the lower part of your scapula, your wing bone. Exhale. Inhale, push the chi up to the 6th thoracic vertebrae. And exhale. Inhale, propel the chi to the 5th thoracic vertebrae. And exhale. Inhale, propel the chi up to the 4th thoracic vertebrae. And exhale. Inhale, push the chi up to the 3rd thoracic vertebrae. And exhale. Inhale, propel the chi up to the 2nd thoracic vertebrae. Exhale. Inhale, propel the chi to the 1st thoracic vertebrae. And exhale. Continuing up to the cervical, which is your neck. Inhale, propel the chi to the 7th cervical vertebrae, roughly at the same level as your upper shoulders. Exhale. Inhale, propel the chi up to the 6th thoracic cervical vertebrae. Exhale. Inhale, propel the chi up to the 5th cervical vertebrae. And exhale. Inhale, move the chi to the 4th cervical vertebrae. And exhale. Inhale, propel the chi to the third cervical vertebrae. And exhale. Inhale. Move the chi to the second cervical vertebrae. And exhale. Inhale. And now we end at the last and the first cervical vertebrae. And exhale. Inhale, propel the chi up through the base of the skull, leaving the spine. The chi continues to travel upward to the back of the skull. And exhale. Inhale, propel the chi to the top of the head at Bai Hui, 100 meeting point, the very peak of your head, where the energy of heaven enters our being. And exhale, pause for a moment to feel the connection between this entryway of all heavenly energy. And now we prepare our downward journey of our microcosmic orbit. Inhale. Propel the chi forward from Bai Hui to your hairline. And exhale. Inhale. Descend the chi to the forehead at Tian Wu in the upper dantian. And exhale. Opening up the doorway to the North Star right here. Inhale. Descend the chi past the bridge of the nose to the philtrum in the middle area above the upper lip. And exhale. Inhale, and now the chi penetrates into the roof of your mouth and crossing the bridge of your tongue into the lower part of your tongue, connecting with the conception channel. Exhale. Inhale, descend the chi into the throat area. And exhale. Inhale, descend the chi into the depression at the base of your throat to the beginning of your sternum or the breastbone, to the first rib. And exhale. Inhale, descend the chi down the sternum to the level of second rib and exhale. Inhale, descend the chi to the level of the third rib, still in your sternum. And exhale. Inhale, descend your chi to the level of the fifth rib in the sternum. And exhale. Inhale, descend the chi to the xiphoid process of the sternum, which is like a little tail at the end of the sternum. And exhale. Inhale, descend the chi to your upper abdomen, stomach area, roughly at the level of the eighth rib. And exhale. This is the center of your solar plexus. Inhale. Exhale, descend the chi to the level of ninth rib above your belly button. Exhale, exhale, exhale. Inhale, descend the chi to the belly button. And exhale. Inhale, descend the chi to below your belly button into the lower dantian in your pelvic area. Exhale. Inhale, return the chi back to the lower dantian, where it began its journey through the microcosmic orbit. And exhale. And now move your tongue in circles outside of your teeth 36 times in one direction. And then when you finish, then 36 times in the other direction. Feel this golden elixir and jade nectar being produced as you are pumping from the fountain. Once you gather enough saliva, slowly swallow and follow the saliva as it moves down your esophagus into your stomach and then finally into your lower dantian in the abdomen. Continue to circle. It's amazing. It's like drinking water. I mean, there's so much saliva that you can generate from this practice. It's pretty amazing because all you were doing is just visualizing and pumping your chi, and yet you were able to affect your physiology in such a profound fashion. So now, in closing, bring your awareness to the upper dantian. And then the middle dantian. And finally, the lower dantian. Now we rub our hands together to create heat and palm onto your eyes to allow the penetration to open the window to your soul. And again, feel free to, press the rim of the socket in your attempt massage, and then rub the eyeballs gently in a circular fashion with your index finger or the knuckle of the index finger. And then with the knuckle of your thumb, massage your temple. And then open your eyes and circle 3 times in each direction to warm up the eye muscles. Now, back to you, Olivia.
Thank you, Dr. Mao. Thank you, everyone. I have nothing to add to this beautiful practice. So, as you've probably just experienced now, the beauty of meditation is not in so much the talking about it, but the practice. So I hope that this month, this beautiful, for me at least in the Northern Hemisphere, cool, for you in the Southern Hemisphere, perhaps warm, beautiful either way. I hope that you can practice every day and give yourself this beautiful experience of cultivating your life. I will have our media up on the website very shortly this evening. And again, I hope that you practice as often as you can, perhaps daily. And just a reminder that I sent out a quick survey. If you don't mind giving me your responses, I would appreciate it so that I know what to send you or what to not send you, etc. Thank you so much, Dr. Mao, for guiding us. Very grateful. And thank you everyone for being here. So we'll see you very soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Heather.